Hello, good evening, and welcome to Monkeys with Fire. How's everybody tonight? Hope you're all well. Hope you're getting ready for the weekend. So tonight we're going to be taking a first look at a Cypher System supplement. This is The Stars Are Fire. We're going to be looking at a galaxy-spanning space opera, near-future hard sci-fi, and everything in between. If you are a regular follower of the channel, you'll know that we are big fans of the Cypher system from Monte Cook Games. We've already taken a look at the core rulebook, and we've also taken a look at a couple of their supplements, to which they do a great range. This is just one of many, and this of course is focused in on the genre of science fiction. Do want to point out that Monte Cook Games very kindly provided this copy of The Stars Are Fire for us to take a look at this evening, so thanks to them for that. Alright, let's jump to the table. Before we do, I do want to point out that there may be some spoilers during tonight's show. This is mainly a settings supplement, so it's to give you lots of background that you can use for putting together your own adventure with a sci-fi setting. Using the Cypher system, but there is a couple of scenarios, a campaign, and a whole sort of campaign setting at the back of the book. So we will take a look at that briefly, but be aware that if you do intend to play it as a player, then you might not want to watch that section. All right, let's jump to the table then. So here we go, this is the book. I will say I thoroughly love the artwork of the covers for this series of books that Monte Cook are releasing. I love this stylized image, and they do that for quite a few of their books now. So if you continue to watch the channel, you'll see the different cover designs. They're rather neat. Let's take a look at how it describes on the back. Okay, so here we go. A starship of unknown provenance, adrift and powerless, falls into a nearby orbit. An alien disease causes people to slowly lose interest in life, then take root like a plant. An envoy from another dimension brings warning of a pending catastrophe. But what if its solutions are the real threat? It's your campaign. Where will it lead you? What will happen? The Cypher system is a fast, flexible, elegant game engine that powers any campaign you can imagine. The Stars Are Fire adds creatures, rules, characters, options, loads and loads of gear, and other tools optimized for your science fiction campaign, plus a complete, ready-to-use hard science fiction setting. And it details here that we have aliens, robots, starships and creatures, and additional resources for campaigns ranging from gritty and realistic to swashbuckling and star hopping. A huge catalogue of sci-fi equipment, all graded according to the tech level and style of your game, from contemporary to fantastic. A space combat system for gripping ship-to-ship scenes that engage every player throughout the session. A complete sci-fi setting, the Revel. Humanity has colonized the solar system, but a still mysterious event has caused the Earth to fall dark and quiet. And finally, a full-length adventure, Salvage over Saturn, plus 2 sci-fi Cypher shorts. So as I said, this is a setting and supplement for the Cypher system. It does require the Cypher System Rulebook to play. Alright, let's jump on in. I'll just do a quick flick through so you get an idea. There is, I think it's 224 pages in the book. And most pages have some unique artwork in there for you to enjoy. it does go into a lot of detail. Good evening, Roger. Thank you for joining us. How are you? Hope you're well. We're just getting started. There is so much to look at, but that's the beauty of this book. I will say right off the bat, this is a book that, as much as it is designed for the Cypher system, it is a worthwhile resource for any sci-fi game, because there are elements that you could pull from this and use in any sci-fi setting, or at least just to get your imagination going, getting you to think in a different direction maybe. So it's definitely one to include on your bookshelf. Of course, as you would imagine, there is a PDF version of this as well, so you can load it up in your tablet and use the quick hyperlink to jump from section to section. So that's very, very useful. All right, so let's take a look. We're not going to look at everything, but we're going to get a general feel of the book. We have this wonderful piece of artwork here for the solar system. This is for the campaign setting that it detailed, the Revel, and as we can see our solar system here, well, with some little nods to some literature. Barsoom City in Mars. I think some of you guys might get that reference there. So yeah, this is good. All right, let's jump in properly. The book is broken. We got a little bit of introduction, but it's broken up into 3 sections here. Science fiction world building. It then jumps on to the Revel, which is the entire sort of campaign setting section, and then we do have some short missions that we can do, and a full adventure in the last section. And so it starts us off with a little bit of an introduction, basically just to set the scene, what the possibilities might be for a science fiction game using the Cypher system, using the materials within the book. And then it just gives you a little bit of a refresh as far as the Cypher system basics. Of course, you do need the core rulebook, the Cypher system core rulebook, to be able to play. But it just for reminding everybody here, the Cypher system is a D20 based system. It's a roll higher score. Basically, the Games Master will set a difficulty for a task between 1 and 10. So a very, very easy task would be a 1, whereas a near impossible task would be, an impossible task would be a 10. Near impossible, that's possibly a 9. The way that it works then is your target number is 3 times the difficulty. So, as it gives an example here, a difficulty task of 1, you've got to roll higher than a 3, whereas a difficulty task of 4, your target number is 12. And then what you're able to do as a player is you're trying to ease the difficulty. So if you are trained, say, in climbing, then you may be able to turn a difficulty 6 climb into a 5. You've made that climb easier because you have a skill in climbing. If you are specialized in a skill, you are able to reduce that difficulty by 2, and 2 is the maximum amount that you can ease any difficulty. The GM, of course, could say that given circumstances, a task is being made harder. Maybe you are trying to pick a security blast door lock and you are under laser fire, so you're having to concentrate, but there's explosions going on all around you, so of course that would increase your difficulty. And as I say, You then roll a d20 and you are trying to get over that score. All right, so that's a quick reminder. So it goes into giving some advice on playing in a sci-fi setting. And I found this very useful because it is looking at it from the perspective of the players and for the GM, and explaining to the GM, well, what might your players be facing? They might find it a difficulty to put themselves into this futuristic world because we obviously only understand a certain amount, but our player characters will understand that world so much better. And how can an actual player sort of role play their character to the same level? So it addresses that issue and helps the games master to sort of tackle that challenge. So it's good that it's thinking ahead. It's trying to help games masters ease the players into this unique setting that they'll be creating for them. And it goes into more details. It's giving you a lot to think about as you go through, using exposition as a tool for good and stealing liberally from popular science fiction movies or TV shows or books or comic books, or video games, because that's a way of communicating to your players what the setting is actually like. If you can say, well, it's a little bit of this out of Star Trek, and maybe it's a bit out of this out of Star Wars, and maybe this little element out of The Expanse. And so long as your players have actually experienced those and watched them or read about them, then they can get a bit of an understanding of what you're trying to achieve, what setting you're trying to do, or what they are facing. So I found that useful. So that's a little bit of the introduction. We go on then to the actual world building, and this I thought was really interesting. This is really cool. So step by step, how are you going to build a unique science fiction setting for your game? I guess this is the advantage of the Cypher system, because we've already mentioned a couple of popular sci-fi settings, and of course they have their own role-playing game systems that you can enjoy. But what happens if you wanted to create something unique? Or what happens if you wanted to create one of those settings but in your own sort of style? Maybe you don't want to have the space opera of the movies, and maybe you want to put that same setting but in a hard sci-fi world. Well, this is where the Cypher system absolutely can allow you to do that. So as it says here, step 1, ground rules. So unless you're trying to create something utterly new, your science fiction setting can actually benefit from following an example in popular media. So as it says, steal liberally. So it gives a suggestion here of that maybe there's some kind of multi-alien milieu, like in Star Wars. There's a strange, exotic, biological, molecular threat, like in The Expanse, and all rounded out by an insidious secret conspiracy, as hinted in The X-Files. So hopefully that gives you an idea of what kind of game you're going to be playing. And then step 2 says about settings and theme. So it says here you might have a sense of the setting and story for your science fiction if you're borrowing it from an established setting. Suggesting here that Conflicts of the Future, which is designed as an idea generation resource for science fiction world building. We'll take a look at that, because that gives us some charts for us to be able to roll on, and you know how much I enjoy doing that. Step 3 is establishing a technological rating that will affect what level of tech this universe actually has. and there's quite an in-depth chapter on all the different types of equipment and gear and vehicles that you can actually access within your world depending on that tech level. And there are basically 3 levels. There's contemporary, there's advanced, and there's fantastic. And we get a little illustration here to give us a little bit of an idea. We'll come into more detail on that as we go through. Step 4, choose cosmic set pieces and optional rules. So things that you might not want to include in your game world. So maybe saying that time travel does not exist in this universe. Set that rule, and I think that's maybe a good thing about doing a setting like this. Set rules and then don't break them. Once you have this set as this is the level of technology, this is the level that we are able to do in this universe, keep it as that. It's the consistency that helps your players believe in the world that they are within. I think the artwork is looking good, Roger. Yes, it is, isn't it? And the great thing about it is typically on every spread there is some wonderful unique artwork. There is a healthy, I'll just quickly show, a healthy list of artists right at the front of the book with the credits here. So lots of different styles. Chapter 4 is going through subgenres. So again, I like this just as a resource to read through. Popular sci-fi subgenres. Accidental travel. Ordinary people are somehow transported to a strange location, other planet, time or dimension, with little understanding of how or why. So straight away I'm thinking of another popular role-playing game that is based on a book. Any guesses? I might have already mentioned it. Alien invasion. Nothing like a good alien invasion. Alternate history. Apocalyptic. I think that's an interesting one, and we will come back to this, but in another show, because apocalyptic doesn't necessarily mean it has to be in the here and now. Maybe the apocalypse happens in the far future, doesn't it? We have cyberpunk, dystopian, first contact, the first meeting between humans and aliens. So films like E.T. and Close Encounters. We then have a generation ship. This is interesting. Unable to achieve FTL, a generation ship is a massive starship that takes so long to move between the stars that many generations might live and die on board to serve as crew. Interesting. Because the ship would have to have a functioning closed-loop environment with very little resource loss, not to mention robust methods for teaching each new generation how to crew a starship or even care about what their ancestors set them up for, many potential pitfalls, story conflicts can emerge. That's an interesting one. An entire game on a generation ship. Hard science fiction. And I never realized that there was this a sort of differentiation between different types of sci-fi, but I really enjoyed watching The Expanse as a TV show, and of course that goes under the hard science fiction subgenre. So I do understand that by comparison to, you know, Star Wars and Star Trek. Military science fiction. Interplanetary conflict and wars are the primary focus of military sci-fi settings. So maybe Starship Troopers. It's afraid. Near future. Robots and post-humans. Science fantasy. Singularity. So technological progress increases at an ever-accelerating rate with the aid of artificial intelligence. Spikes beyond anything we can currently predict. Because singularity settings predicate an incomprehensible outcome, almost anything goes in the aftermath. Ooh, dangerous. Slipstream, usually some element of the world that is otherwise mainstream for its time, is tweaked in a speculative fashion, such as in Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale. Ah, okay. And a social soft science fiction. Space exploration. Space opera. Steampunk. Time and dimension travel. Utopian. Virtual reality. We got The Matrix. So there is plenty of settings there, just to get you thinking a little bit about what type of science fiction setting you are going to have. What would you go for, Roger? What type of setting might you choose? Obviously, this gives you a nice guide as far as the popular ones that you are aware of. I like the accidental travel idea, because I think that's where you could merge a couple of ideas together. Maybe your characters are from the 1920s and they get transported into the far future. That might be an interesting setting. Okay, so here we go. We have dice rolls. So conflicts of the future. So where and when is your science fiction setting? Is it present day with unexpected sci-fi intrusions, or thousands of years from now in a parallel universe? So what type of conflict might we have? So you could set it yourself, because you might want it to be part of the narrative you're building, but if not, then here is a great roll table to maybe give you some ideas. So let's just move this over here, bring in the dice tray, let's see what we get. And it is, of course, it's a D100, isn't it? Hang on a second. Need to get some appropriate dice. That'll do. Prepared as always. Alright, so what we're going to do is we'll go with... Ooh. I've dropped the dice! Alright, here we go. We're going to have reds as 10s, black as units. Alright, let's see what we get. Keep the dice on the table, monkey. That's going to be... oh gosh. Yes, that's going to be 0, isn't it? It's going to be 50. So, what have we got? Let's go with 50. Here we go. Alien Aliens see humans as unthinking animals and their solar system as a useful source of raw material for their next interstellar infrastructure project. Okay, I'm thinking the Matrix there. A little bit of the Matrix vibe. Let's give this another go. 10's always coming up. 20. A brutal gang of thieves gains control of a cache of equipment far in advance of anything else in the setting in general, and begins accumulating ever-expanding control and power. Alright, so, you know, some nice ideas here. Artificial intelligence begins to war among themselves, and the humans are caught in the middle. An alien, self-replicating life form is deployed as a biological weapon to eradicate all life not keyed to the biological weapons masters. As you can see, there are a lot of examples. Alright. What do we go? Chapter 6, Cosmic Set Pieces and Optional Rules. Move these out of the way. Let's see what we got. So this is to just try and bring you as the Games Master and your players sort of up to speed a little bit. This chapter contains a variety of subsystems and set pieces that you can choose to incorporate into your game, depending on the kind of setting you'd like to run. So here we go, some quick descriptions for common sci-fi situations. So weightlessness, 0G, feels like. So this is interesting. Okay, so here we go. When it's your first time, the sensation of falling jerks through the body. Instincts scream to reach out and catch yourself. So that's what it feel being in weightlessness for the first time. That's how it would feel. But once you've acclimated to it, a feeling of lightness, effervescence, like floating in a pool of water if the water were clear air. A little push sends you gliding. And then it gives you a description of high acceleration, blacking out from high acceleration, exposure to hard radiation, exposure to vacuum. Gosh. We've got some info on long-term microgravity exposure. 0G. And we have now a selection of GM intrusions that the GM can roll on. So here we go. Spacesuits are fallible. Oh gosh. This is where things go wrong for the players. Let's do another roll, hey? Let's see what we get. So it's just a quick D6 roll. Let's see how your spacesuit fares, Roger. That's a 4. Space sickness, a tumble, a spin nauseates the character. If they vomit in their helmet, they are blinded until such a time as the helmet can be removed and cleaned. Yes, do not throw up in your helmet. Not good. Okay, so we've got a variety of these different GM intrusions for acceleration and high G maneuvers, moving in microgravity, rules for vehicular combat and space combat. You get motion sickness, do you, Roger? We've got some rules here on bridge combat. So that's quite cool. We can actually do fighter combat, as in one pilot in the craft, or there's rules then for each player taking a system on a larger starship. Very similar, I guess, to Star Trek or The Expanse, where the different characters have different roles. So, detailing here bridge combat at the table how you would work through that. Responsibilities for the different characters. Some rules on psionics, psychic abilities within your characters. You can see it does go into a lot of detail. Great thing about this is, of course, is it gives you all the rules and tools that you need to be able to create the setting that you desire. What do we have here? Salvage from spacecrafts, space hazards, gravity wells, black holes, solar flares, asteroid and debris fields, FTL instability, spatial anomalies. Talking about AI, weak AI, sim AI, strong AI, and then post-singularity AI. Ancient ultras. And then a little bit of detail here on incorporating the fantastic into your setting. So there's a lot here, you know, to read through. It gives you a lot to think about, which is really good. Equipment and armaments. So I really enjoyed going through this because you can see where the designers have had their little inspiration, but of course that's ultimately, if you're going to be having this, you're probably going to be trying to recreate or get a sense of something that you've seen before, so it's sort of backwards compatible, which is great. So what do we have? We basically have, it's going to go through each category of type of equipment and then offer up suggestions depending on the level of technology that your setting is within, which of course we have those three bandings of contemporary, advanced and fantastic. So this first section here is looking at communication. Light speed communication delays. So light moves at 670 million miles per hour, which means that in a hard science fiction setting bound by physics, a noticeable delay is endured between the time you send a message to another planet within the same solar system and when you get back the answer. For ease of reference, the light delay table provides time it takes light from the sun to reach the planet in our solar system. Ah, I see, it's interesting. So here we go. It takes 8 minutes. 8 minutes for light to reach Earth. Whereas that same beam of light takes 160 minutes to reach. I'm going to say it wrong, aren't I? Uranus. Oh yeah. I'm moving on. Okay, so we got communication devices. Contemporary would be smartphones and computers and satellite phones. But if we go into the advanced, maybe we have a communicator badge, or we have a laser array, or AR glasses. And if we go to the fantastic, then we have mind's eye. So they're as contemporary AR glasses, but directly incorporated into the brain as cortical implants. All right, so you can see how we've got the 3 different levels. Let's find something else that's interesting. What about, here we go, some armor. So let's say we got Kevlar vest for contemporary, but for advanced, maybe we have a spacesuit or a stealth suit. And then for fantastic, we have maybe a chameleon cloak. And again, it just gives you absolutely everything. So we've got utility gear, healthcare and nutrition. Got robots and AI. Different types of recreational items. We got armament. Different weapons. Melee weapons, ranged weapons. So we can have contemporary, we could have maybe a machete or a nightstick. Go into advanced, we could have maybe a power fist. Going into the fantastic, we have a plasma saber. Grapple guns, rail guns, blaster rifles. Again, we got some really nice artwork here. Here we go. Gotta like a weapon that's called a carbonizer or a death ray. These are the types of weapons we want. It moves on to vehicles and spacecraft, and it very much does it in a similar style, detailing the contemporary, the advanced, and fantastic for the type of vehicle that you're looking at. So this is looking at cycles. So we got a motorbike, motorcycle dirt bike, or a cruiser. In the advanced, we have a battle motorcycle or a vacuum cycle. And then in the fantastic, we have a hover speedster. And then a hard light cycle. Cars, sedans, sports cars, but then maybe we have an advanced hover car or a moon buggy. Or we get into the fantastic, where we have a flying car. What was the name of that Hanna-Barbera TV show? The Futuristic Family. It was kind of the it was like the Flintstones but flipped. The Flintstones were prehistoric, this was the Futuristic Family. They had a flying car, didn't they? Different aircraft, seacraft, mechs and tanks. And then it starts going more into spacecraft. So, of course, this is all the futuristic crafts, you know, typical vehicles. Lorna, good to see you. The Jetsons, that's the one. That's the one. So we're into spacecraft, looking at different forms of how to power. So contemporary would be solar panels and rockets and ion thrusters. Advanced, we get fusion power and plasma, nuclear plasma and fusion drives. Fantastic, we have antimatter power captain and dark drives. And then we start looking at the actual spacecrafts themselves. Pioneer era spacecrafts, capsules and rockets and shuttles. But then we move on to the more advanced. We got a large exploration class here and destroyers. Different starships, solo fighters, warships. A stellar gate that opens a wormhole between two fixed points. I mean, there's just so much stuff. Space-time vehicles. We got a car that can travel through space and time. That's pretty good. I like that. Okay. So, before we jump into creatures and NPCs, I do want to sort of share a little bit of news that you might have seen on the Monte Cook Games website. Let me make sure I've got this right. go. So Monte Cook Games have been working on various components of an online offering to be able to help games masters and players get the most out of the Cypher system, and they have announced that they are going to be doing a character builder, an online character builder. This is a fantastic resource, one that I am sure we will do a live show about, so we can all create a character, maybe within a sci-fi setting, maybe in a different setting for another supplement book that we will be taking a look at maybe in a couple of weeks' time. So the actual Cypher System character builder goes live for an open beta Monday next week. I will put a link in the chat so you're able to take a look. In fact, you know what? I will do that right now. I copy that. There you go. So you'll have the link to the article, because then you will be able to take a look. As you can imagine, this will have everything you need to be able to create a unique character using the Cypher system. But of course, as we've been discovering, the Cypher system is a whole variety of different settings. So we have, as it shows just here, we have the core book. We're taking a look now at The Stars Are Fire, but we did have a book all about the horror setting, which we've yet to explore. We had the fairy tale setting. We got an in-depth fantasy setting, making unique fantasy settings. We've done and taken a look at superheroes, and this is post-apocalyptic, and they do have another book coming out, I think it's middle part of this year, which is all about magic, different types of magic settings. So their character builder will include all of the descriptors, all of the foci that you need to create your character, all built within. And we can actually just take a look, because they already do have an offering as far as their creature index, so you are able to get all the details on different types of creatures appropriate to the setting that you are in, and also a setting finder. So this is the area that you want to go to on Monday, and maybe try out, create some different characters, see what you come up with. Of course, if you wanted to create a character and put it in on the Discord, then I'll look forward to taking a look and seeing what wonderful characters you create. But as I say, the character builder is going live on Monday, so do check it out. All right, let's carry on. So, creatures and NPCs. And again, I love this stuff. This is really good. These will all be within the NPC generator that you saw there. So we got AI, a cybrid. Cybrid origins could be the result of someone finding a cache of ancient ultra technology, or manufactured by a post-singularity AI for some unfathomable purpose, or even the result of banned weapons research by a nation state. You got the devolved. That reminds me of the Reavers from Serenity. Have you guys You must have watched Serenity. Is that Ecophagic Swarm? Exo Slime? The God Mind? These are all weird and wonderful. Again, lovely artwork to share with your players. Space rats! You see, every cargo ship must have some kind of space rat. A storm marine. I wonder what chapter this storm marine is from. Weird and wonderful alien species. So there you go. So you got a good selection of just very, very different creatures. So, nice selection. Okay, so we're gonna have to. So I will put up the. Spoilers, we're going to be going into the actual setting, just in case you intended to play. You might not want to see some of the elements here, so you have been warned. Let's take a look. So this is Welcome to the Revel. So we did it, we survived. Many gave even odds that humans would go extinct sometime around the end of the 21st century. We did more than simply survive, we thrived, we colonized the solar system and beyond. So, I'm getting the impression this is a little bit like The Expanse, isn't it? Have you guys watched? Did you watch The Expanse? Or have you read the books? So, this is giving the background to this setting. What happened historically, what's happening in the here and now. So the Revel is an RPG setting designed for Cypher System rules as presented in the Cypher System Rulebook. The sci-fi, oh, so this is good. This actually breaks down what the Revel's all about. So its subgenre is hard science fiction. So for the most part, no technology deemed impossible by mainstream scientific theory exists in the Revel. The laws of physics are something a GM can keep in mind when describing a particular scenario or deciding how the PC's actions play out. So, technological rating, advanced. The Revel is a setting where advanced tech rating is generally available with some mixture of contemporary tech and a smattering of fantastical tech, most notably a handful of FTL-capable starships. Psionics? None. There are no psionics in this setting. Artifacts. Regular equipment fulfills much of the role that the Cypher System artifacts do in other settings. Okay, ciphers. Subtle ciphers are the default form of ciphers gamed in the Revel, and the GM should hand them out regularly. Tells you a little bit about the people. About the NPCs, about life, what it's like to live, religion, telling time in souls, currency, faster than light, travel, the starships. There are 7 working FTL capable ships operating in the Revel. Okay, so we've got all of our settings here, and then Luna 1. So this is actually looking, if we remember the map, the solar chart at the beginning, to which, just get an idea, there is a pull-out poster here of the solar system, as we saw here. So we got a large version of the solar system that you can actually present to your players. I really do like that with the Monte Cook Games books. They always do have something in the back, some handout. Always nice. So Lunar 1, we've got the moon. We've got the various outposts, spaceports, what it's like to actually live on the moon. Market domes. Tranquility Tower. So, Big Five Spirals. This is going to be the 5 largest business conglomerates. See, we'll get there. The corporations. The Big Five each own a dominion in the form of a supermassive O'Neill space station. Each is situated at one of the 5 points around the Earth, Moon and Sun. The stations are called spirals because each cylinder is about 8 kilometers in diameter and 32 kilometers long. It's Babylon 5. Did you guys watch B5? See, again, this is where you use popular media to sort of help communicate. Makes it so much easier, doesn't it? We then have the cloud cities of Venus. We have Mars, with Barsoom City. Do you guys remember the last time we went to Barsoom? What was the name of oh gosh, Total Recall, wasn't it? That was a good movie set on Mars. And then it does talk about the other planets in the solar system. Jupiter, with its various moons. And Saturn. Oh, that's a really nice piece of art. I think, is she yes, she's got a robotic arm, hasn't she? And then it does talk about far-flung worlds beyond our solar system. So you've got plenty of information here. We're going to skip over this a little bit because this is maybe a little bit of the crux of what's happening. So we're going to cross that. So finally, so we got the setting, and now here we go. We have an adventure and we have a couple of short missions. So got a couple of adventures, which we'll quickly skip over. We got a prison break and an alien planet. So there we go. And we got a chart here. The other one's covered obviously by the map, but we can see the different vehicles to size scales. You can get an idea of how massive some of these these vehicles actually are. Okay, so there you go, guys. That is The Stars Are Fire, a Cypher System supplement, so that you can create your own science fiction settings using the Cypher system. As I say, we will be taking a look at some other settings in the weeks to come. Some very exciting settings, some that you possibly wouldn't consider as a setting initially, and when we go through it, you'll be going, my goodness, I want to play in that world. It's a fantastic world. Can't wait. Okay, so next time we are going to be taking a look at Everyday Heroes from Evil Genius Games. This is an entire role-playing game system set in the modern day era, but you can base your games in action film style. So we do actually have some of their supplement books. We have books for Highlander, Rambo, and Skull Island Kong. So if you've ever wanted to roleplay in those game worlds, well, Everyday Heroes is going to be the system for you. Thank you so much for joining me this evening as we took a look through The Stars Are Fire from Monte Cook Games. I hope you will join me again next time, but until then, bye for now.